The customization in Jedi Survivor is absolutely ridiculous, especially when you compare it to Fallen Order and I guess the lack thereof customization in that game. I was lucky enough to actually be flown over to LA and play the game early, and I'm a big customization buff in pretty much every game that I play, so that was one of the first things that I looked at, and today we're going to be going through all of the stuff that I learned from the early playtest. Now, there is a lot of content on the way right here on the channel, so if you guys aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I'm going to be posting almost daily content this week and then plenty more content in the lead up to launch, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled for more. But with that being said, let's get stuck into all of the juicy details. Now, like I said, one of the first things that I looked at when I was sitting down to play Jedi Survivor was the customization within the game. It's one of the things that I had the biggest issue with in Fallen Order. Overall, I absolutely love that game, but there were essentially ponchos and that was it. There was literally nothing else. At least in terms of like Cal's customization, you could obviously customize the Mantis, BD1, and even your lightsaber, but even those areas of customization weren't anything like super impressive. So I looked into it straight away and I was absolutely blown away by what I found. Firstly, which I think this is probably the most important part and the part that most of you guys would have clicked on the video for, Cal's own customization in terms of your appearance is absolutely ridiculous. This is up there with any game out there, any AAA game, God of War, Spider-Man, any of those sorts of games that have been really popular over the last few years. They all have really good customization, and this game has as good, if not arguably better customization than in those games. The first thing you guys don't need to worry about is that it isn't just down to different colored ponchos this time. Not only are there different actual outfits, but there are different actual like elements to each outfit. So you can change your jacket, you can change your pants, you can even change the shirt underneath the jacket. So you can wear a jacket with a white shirt or a jacket with a blue shirt. Like, there are actually different levels of customization. It's not just like one piece on the top of his body and one piece on the bottom. It is really in depth. Now, the stuff that you guys are seeing on screen obviously looks pretty awesome, but this was only in the first 3 hours of the game, and this is only from what we found on Kobo. So keep in mind that if this game does end up being 20 to 25 hours, these different options here are only in the first 3 hours, and there's going to be a lot more to be found and even purchased throughout the remainder of the game. So even the stuff I'm showing on screen for you guys from the limited gameplay that we got to show, even this stuff is 10 times better than Fallen Order, and this is literally just from pretty much the intro to the game. Now, on top of the outfits, you can obviously also change Cal's hair and beard, and there are some pretty wacky options here. There's not just like slightly longer hair and slightly longer beards. There are literally like handlebar mustaches and mullets and mohawks. Like, it is actually ridiculous how much you can change Cal's appearance. I have seen some people saying that they think this is a little bit goofy and almost a little bit over the top, but for me personally, if you don't want to wear that stuff, just don't wear it. So the more options, the better. I'm keen to see some people rocking Cal's mullet with handlebar mustache and like a red lightsaber. I think that's going to be pretty funny to see. Everyone should be able to play the game the way they want. Now, obviously, similar to Fallen Order and pretty much every game out there, you can find customizations throughout the world. So as you explore, you'll find the chests that we can all remember from Fallen Order, and in those you will find different bits of customization. But not only can you find them around the world, you can actually also buy them from Domo, I believe her name is, at Rambler's Reach. Now, when I say buy them, don't worry, it isn't actual microtransactions. This is just purchases within the game, and you can buy them with these things called shards that you pretty much just find around the planet. They are in themselves their own little collectibles, and then you can take these to Domo and essentially exchange them for different haircuts, different appearances, all those sorts of things. So I personally think that is a great addition because it kind of just adds another layer to it. You can find these on your own, but you can also go and buy them in case maybe you don't know where they are, or there may even be some that you can't actually find. You actually have to buy them from Domo. Now, on top of Cal's customization, there is obviously different customization when it comes to BD1 and the lightsaber. BD1's customization is also pretty damn ridiculous compared to how it was in Fallen Order. Obviously, in that game, you could change the paint job, and to be completely honest, there were some really cool paint jobs, and I didn't think it really needed to be expanded from that version in Fallen Order. But in this game, you can literally change every single element of his body. So you can change his photoreceptors, which is obviously his eyes. You can change the shape of his head, the audio sensors, which is obviously his ears. And then we don't actually get to see it in this clip here, but I did do this on my own, and you can actually change his body and the legs as well. So essentially every single section of BD1's body is completely customizable when it comes to having different parts exposed. You can have different looking eyes, for example. It is actually really, really in depth. And then obviously on top of that, you can also change his paint job. So there are going to be literally hundreds of different combinations for how you want to make BD1 look. As for the saber customization, I'll be completely honest, this is pretty much just the same as how it was in Jedi Fallen Order, which is absolutely not a knock on Survivor, because I personally thought it was already really good in that game. You could already change, I believe, 4 different elements to the lightsaber, and it is pretty much just the same in this. It's most of the same different sections of the saber that you can change. You can change the color of the blade, but one thing that I will say is you can actually change how weathered the lightsaber is. So you can have it like really dirty and sort of like almost rusty and damaged, or you can have it really, really clean. And then on top of that, obviously, like I said, it is pretty much the same as Fallen Order, but there's going to be a lot more options just by what we can already see here. Like I said, this is very early in the game and there's already a few that have been unlocked. So I can imagine once you get to each different planet and do a bunch of exploring, there's going to be so many different options for how you can actually set up the lightsaber. Now, something else in relation to the lightsaber that I noticed is that you can actually find entire lightsabers in chests. Now, the ones that I found were usually behind some relatively tough boss fights. They weren't just like floating around. It was more like I would beat a boss or get to a really difficult position on the planet, and then I would find a chest that had literally an entire lightsaber in there, and then from there you can actually chop and change that at the workbench. Now, obviously that was sort of the case in Fallen Order. You could find like a new emitter or different elements to each lightsaber, but if you found an emitter and it was just literally the top of the saber, for example, now you can literally find an entire lightsaber. And I won't lie, some of the ones that I found, I don't think I'm actually allowed to talk about them, but some of the ones I found looked absolutely sick. All I can really say is that they were from a certain era within Star Wars, and so I'm definitely keen to actually get around there and try and beat all the really tough bosses and try and find how many cool lightsabers there are out there. Now, during the playtest, I was actually lucky enough to also get an interview with some of the developers, and one of the questions that I asked was actually about the customization, and they kind of mentioned the pink poncho meme and how they knew that that was something that fans didn't really agree with all that much. But something they told me, and this is essentially exclusive information that I didn't know beforehand, is that the customization in Fallen Order was actually like a last minute addition. They almost didn't even have any customization at all, but they put in one secret little reward there, which was a poncho, and then the artists who were actually creating the poncho pretty much said, hey, we can like have a bunch of these scattered throughout the world that are all different colors without it being too much more work for us, so why don't we put that in there? So that's a cool little bit of information for you guys. That was essentially a last minute addition to the game, and to be honest, that does make sense why the customization was unfortunately so poor in Fallen Order, because it almost wasn't even in the game and they just put it in there last minute. So that was something pretty cool that I learned from the interview, and there will be a full video on the channel probably the day after this video talking about all the stuff that I learned from that interview. So keep your eyes peeled for more exclusive info from that interview. I had a great discussion with the devs and there's definitely a lot of cool little tidbits in there. Overall though, definitely be excited about Jedi Survivor if you are a big fan of customization. The customization is absolutely wild compared to Fallen Order, and even like I said, compared to pretty much every like AAA popular game out there, the customization is on par, if not even better than a lot of games out there. So we are in for a very, very good time with Survivor. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, and if you guys are new to the channel, then definitely subscribe for more content. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.